All right, hello everyone. Super excited to get this call going. I got team here who just closed on a deal, and I'm looking forward to hear more information. So, hey team, how's it going? Maybe introduce yourself, and maybe let's start with the most important question, which is, what's the revenue of the business you just acquired in the last 12 months?
The revenue's gross revenue is 4 million.
Beautiful. What's the business doing?
The business is HVAC in California.
Nice. So let's start from the beginning then. So, what led you to this world of acquisitions in the first place?
I own a building performance business that does both construction and engineering, and I've had a hard time trying to get a good team going over the last decade. And I was sitting around one day, and I think I was on YouTube, and I saw your website show up, acquisitions.com, and said, "Oh, that's a good idea. I should start looking at that." And that's how what led me to your group.
So how long have you been running?
I started listening.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Huh?
Keep going. I'm listening.
I joined your group, and it started to make a lot of sense to try to find an existing business, especially something that I could bolt onto mine. It made so much sense. And as I did your tutorials and listened to all the good advice you and your team were giving, I just I thought it was wonderful and advice, and it's still a lot of what I heard and I learned from you guys, I still apply every day.
So let's maybe get back for a second to the existing business you own. So how long do you own that business? You mentioned 10 years. And what kind of revenues that your existing business is doing?
Well, it's been up and down, and I wish I could say it has been a steady business.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I took so long to acquire a business was because all of a sudden I was doing all about $1 million in revenue. I got about $1 million contract right when I was getting serious about buying a business and learning as much as I could through acquisitions.com. So I've been really absolutely super busy with that contract we got. So I would say we've averaged between 600 and 100 and $1 million in revenues over the last 5 years.
So just to clarify for everyone's listening, it took you 10 years to get to 600, 1 million. Obviously you had your ups and downs, but let's say on average 1 million a year in the last 10 years. And obviously I guess it took time to get there. And with one deal, you basically 4x'd your top line numbers.
Exactly. And it is so hard to grow a business. I can't tell you. I mean, I've had a lot of challenges that I've had a lot of successes in my life, but there's nothing as difficult as trying to grow a business.
What are some of the biggest challenges you had to grow the business organically?
Finding the right people, and then realizing 10 years later that it wasn't just the people you were trying to hire, and maybe a lack of vision, but you have to start looking at yourself. Going, well, what am I doing wrong that is allowing this business to not really do anything? I wouldn't say my business has been unsuccessful. I was able to leverage a lot my business to buy this business, right? I mean, think about that. I had a smaller business, and I'm buying a bigger business. I bought the new business with our corporation, so it still had to look good from a numbers point of view. The thing that the bank doesn't realize, that the lenders don't realize, is just how much of that business is me. I mean, we were doing about $300,000 per employee, and But then if you really look at it, it's all coming down to me, and I can't keep working like this. So
How long you think I mean, I'm trying to explain to people. Let's maybe talk about what do you think you got right now with the business you just bought? Like what access you have that you maybe didn't have before that? More like maybe let's talk about the team that you have, the contracts, or anything you think that is valuable with the business you just acquired.
yeah, well, we can talk about people first. The office manager is outstanding, and I've gone through 4 different office managers, and you can see that she's the glue that has held the new business. She's been wonderful, just really process oriented and a hard worker. So she's got 3.5 years before she retires, and trying to find a person like that, it's just super difficult. For someone like that, I've gone through 5 people. I ended up with no one, right? So then now I've got 15 people I can delegate stuff to that I shouldn't be doing, as a business owner.
Yeah.
So prior business, I was, I was portraying the E-Myth every day, where I'm working in the business, not on the business. And such an important concept. The more you work in the business, the less you really have a business. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because there's no leverage at all. It's very hard to scale.
100%. And Tim, you're one of the people that I like to see on our weekly calls, and I see you a lot. What would you say were some of the most valuable things you are getting from those calls that are getting you back to them on a weekly basis as part of our community, of course?
Well, I like to see the people who are really doing things. That kind of encourages me. Just how much some of the people really working hard at looking for businesses and doing the right thing, and talking to business owners and talking to all the different lenders and investors out there. I always get motivated when I see people doing that.
Yeah.
I think what you say about always looking for business, even when even when I wanted to try to concentrate on just acquiring this business, I kept looking, and it was extremely valuable because you have something to compare it to. I've got by constantly looking for different businesses, I have about 10 good financial statements from 10 different businesses. And if one business owner is being unreasonable with their valuation, I can say, well, look, I just looked at XYZ company. They got 20 trucks. They got beautiful looking buildings, and here's their multiple. Here's why would I want to buy your business? So it gives you a way to negotiate if you have to. So that's one extremely important piece of wisdom you passed on to me. The constant recruiting. I've brought up the lack of skilled labor, and your idea to constantly recruit people, I think is absolutely right on. And that's one thing I didn't do with my business. So, that's one of the first things we're going to try to implement over the next 6 months is have a continuous recruiting system, so that we're always looking for people, and we're not waiting till the last minute to find a body. That's one of the mistakes we make. We rush to hire somebody, and it ends up being the wrong person. So that's good advice. And then always, we had a big challenge with the lender, and I didn't realize how I don't want to say bad the lender. The lender was not the right lender for buying a business. Yeah, and I wish I'd something we're always advising people to do, continue financial friends and
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit, Tim.
Hello?
Oh, I think you're back now. Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going.
So you mentioned, I just heard about the lender. So what was your biggest lesson with the lender?
That to always look for the right lender. Keep looking at lenders, even if you think you've got one. Just like when you're looking for businesses, keep looking for businesses,
Yeah.
and be careful picking that. Remember what you say about keeping the power in the relationship. Banks don't necessarily know how to run a small business. They'll ask you for stuff that doesn't really matter. From a small business point of view.
Yeah, 100%. I know you told me, I think it was beginning of the week, that you had some interesting lessons from the acquisitions. What were some of the challenges or biggest lessons you had to learn throughout the process of closing the deal, would you say?
Hold on a second. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sorry, I was turning battery power on.
It's okay.
I missed that question. Sorry, Moran.
Yeah, no worries. I was just asking, what would you say were your biggest challenges or lessons throughout the process of closing the deal? So you mentioned the lender experience. Are there any biggest challenges you had to go through to close the deal, or lessons that you think would help others as well?
Yeah, I would say trying to run a business and doing all the admin work required by the bank. I'd say if I had to do it again, I'd shop a lot more for the right bank, and I'd probably, I had to hire a business attorney. I would probably get a recommendation from the business attorney on which bank is the best. I'm going to streamline. If you get the right attorney, they're looking out for you. And this attorney was shaking his head on how tricky this bank was, and how he thought that first of all, the bank didn't use an escrow company, which created big problems because for example, they want all the registrations of the vehicles to be, they want to be the lien holder on the vehicles. And in California, when you sell a vehicle, you have to do the emissions and smog test the vehicle. So they held back the working capital that they had in the loan until the vehicles get smogged. So, all of a sudden we have no working capital. So we've had to scramble to make sure we can meet payroll. He said if that had gone through an escrow company, that would have been done, by the escrow company, and they would have expedited everything. So that was one thing. The second thing I learned is I'd probably try to hire maybe a retired SBA. We did an SBA loan. I'd probably try to find a retired SBA person to help navigate, because we were dealing with a senior closing person at the bank, and it turns out that even though they had a title of senior closing agent, they were beginners. They were in training. And the lawyer and I, after about 2 months of frustrating experiences with the bank, we realized what was going on. The lady he was training was didn't really know what she was doing. So that delayed us 2 months, delayed closing.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, one of the things we're gonna do right
the
now
lesson
moving
learned from
forward is,
that,
yeah, go ahead. What's the lesson?
to
We have a bit of a delay.
find out who the boss is,
Mhm.
and make sure that once in a while you're talking to the senior person.
I see. And yeah, moving forward, we are starting now to do personal introductions to some of the best lenders we worked with in the past. So hopefully in your next deal, that won't be an issue. I know if we already did on this one, but it's definitely something we have in mind. Including more support on the equity side of things.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Cool. So what's your goals for the business for the next 1, 3, 5 years? Where do you see yourself with it?
I that's one of the other lessons I learned is this company is really far behind on technology, and that's not just that's kind of involves people's motivation too. People aren't really motivated in the company to get more sophisticated, and to show you how far behind they are, they'll get the customers calling and they're putting the customer calls on Post-it notes. They don't have an intake system. So, I knew their website was pretty archaic. They weren't really using it. It was it's just a pretty bad website.
Yeah.
But now I worry, okay, I'm gonna roll out a website, but if I don't fix the intake system, it could be a disaster. So the next year is just to try to get through that, the website up to enough, get the intake system into the modern 20th century, and then, or 21st century, and then try to get all the processes documented. They have processes, but they haven't got them documented. It's all in their head. So that's the first year. The next 5 years, we want to try to build up the maintenance contracts. There's no maintenance contracts per se. Their service guy is weak on the public relations side. He likes to fix things. He doesn't like people. So we need a people person in charge of the service, the maintenance and repairs. That's probably the most important thing that we can do over the next 5 years, and then build up the negotiated contract work instead of just bidding work. So we're far along on that. We brought in $500,000 worth of negotiated work into the business already, and I would not have, and my big worry with that work was being able to implement that work, because I just came in with one employee. So now I have much more confidence that we'll be able to implement the contracts that we do have. So that in the next 5 years, I think on the financials, I had a 5 to 10% growth rate over the next 5 to 10 years. And I'd really like to set it up so I could sell the company to the employees in 10 to 15 years. So one of the things I thought about doing was, we always talk about having job descriptions. I'm going to add a job description called business owner. I'm going to stick the binder where everyone can see it. And anyone who wants to be a business owner can look at that. Well, here are all the skills you need to be a business owner.
Love it. Do you see yourself doing more acquisitions, like creating some kind of a roll-up, or what are your thoughts about that?
I do, because I'm not paying myself in this new company. So I'm trying to figure out how to, I think I'm going to have to pay myself with
distributions or something. So yeah, I do. I'm just a little hesitant to start doing that right now when I have to fix this business. So that's actually extremely difficult for me to keep going with the process of acquisitions at the same time I'm trying to run two businesses. I got to be very careful about focusing on this second business. Well, both businesses really.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. That's something we're thinking about as well internally, to almost build a fractional M&A team for people who already did their first deal and want extra support. So can have a separate conversation on that and see how we potentially look at something like that. I don't know, anything else you feel that would be valuable for people, like anything that happened during negotiation that you think would be a good lesson for others?
Yeah, we talk about we sit around spending a lot of time trying to figure out whether you should do an asset-based loan or a stock purchase, and we forget about the main asset being the people. The bank must have asked me 20 different times for lists of equipment and inventory. Not once did the bank ask me about employees. So we should have planned the employee transition a lot better than we did. I mean, we had people threatening to quit, and we've been dealing with that for the last 2 months, and that's been very stressful. So having a employee strategy and employee communication strategy, I think is absolutely critical. And I think next time I do this, I'm going to spend the first week doing one-on-ones with the employees. We try to do it with a barbecue. We try to do it, with presentations. It just didn't work. So what has been working is I've been going out to the job sites and pulling each employee over to the sidewalk and just talking about what they want, what motivates them, and talk about their family and stuff like that. So that's extremely important. What else? I think really negotiating, it's not the typical negotiation when you're buying a business. And you got to be very careful about going in there with the low ball mentality. I think that could really upset the communication. I didn't do much negotiation. I just looked at cash flow. I looked at the multiple, which is over 2. I just didn't see the point of trying to negotiate. I think the more important thing is to communicate about employees, find out about the employees beforehand, and try to get the office manager, the person who knows all the paperwork in the business, try to get them on board, and get them on board before the acquisition is 100%. These guys didn't know where any of the paperwork was. They relied on the office manager for everything, and we really didn't get productive on closing out the transaction until we communicated the sale to the office manager.
What's your involvement going to look like right now, day to day?
I really need to jump on trying to hire replacements for the business owners. The 2 business owners are still running the day-to-day operation, and I've been trying to hire from within, and that's not working too well. So I've I've got a meeting with a recruiter, an HVAC specialty recruiter, over the next week. We've been trying to do job descriptions, and I've been trying to get the process documented out of, the bidding and estimating process that each of these guys do. I mean, I'm trying to get it out of their heads and on the paper, and I'm having trouble with that. They don't understand why it's important. So, yeah, so I would say hiring is going to be my emphasis. And then if we can't hire someone, I'm going to have to bid these projects. There's some big projects that are, 2-3 year projects that are critical to the success of the business. The other thing I'd like to communicate to everyone is just be careful about being sector agnostic. I worry about people who don't have a passion for, what Jason said it on one of his little presentations recently. Jason Reed, he was saying, if you don't have a passion for the business you're pursuing, I think you're going to get in trouble, because he was talking about working 24/7. If you're going to work 24/7 on your business, you better love your business. So I worry about the people who haven't really figured out what their passion is. And I know that's very hard to do, but
Yep.
Work on that vision part of your vision modules and the mission statement. I know that sounds corny, but the more you can do that on the side and figure out what makes you tick and what makes you get up in the morning, the more successful you're going to be.
Yep, there is a reason it's there, 100%. Good stuff, team. Hey, I really appreciate you taking the time. Any last notes you want to share with people on just anything?
I think buying a business isn't for everybody. But I think if you do go through all the steps in the acquisitions.com modules and attend the meetings, preferably with questions that you're generating from actually being out there, talking to business owners, talking to financial partners, running through doing your LOI calculations and your asset models. Do that on real projects, on real businesses, and be ready for, and pick Moran's brain as much as possible, and the rest of his team. I think it'll be much more interesting for you, and you'll learn much more. That's what I recommend to everyone.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for taking this time. I'm sure it's going to be super valuable for people. And congrats again on the deal. It's really amazing. I know you've been working hard to get this done, so congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you, Moran, for all your help and efforts, and just for setting this up. And I hope you guys are very successful. You deserve it.
You got it, my man. Thank you.